Hi, I'm Reverend Sharon Ketchum, joining you here in this virtual world so that we can talk about the season of nonviolence and living and expressing gratitude as gratitude. We're going to set the tone for this morning's service by a piece of music I really enjoy. It's called A World of Abundance by Ahria Dawn. I think you may remember this from when we used to meet in person, and if so, I hope you'll just sing on along.
I am so grateful for this life I have to live. Oh, and I am so grateful for all I have to give. For I live in a world of abundance, in a true never-ending source from above. Yes, I live in a world of abundance, with a life overflowing and a heart full of love. I am so grateful, for I know my path is blessed by love, so full and graceful, I can trust in every step. For I live in a world of abundance, in a true never-ending source from above. Yes, I live in a world of abundance, with a life overflowing and a heart full of love. Yes, I live in a world of abundance, in a true never-ending source from above. Yes, I live in a world of abundance, with a life overflowing and a heart full of love. Yes, I live in a world of abundance, in a true never-ending source from above. Yes, I live in a world of abundance, with a life overflowing and a heart full of love. Yes, I live in a world of abundance, in a true never-ending source from above. Yes, I live in a world of abundance, with a life overflowing and a heart full of love. Yes, I live in a world of abundance, in a true never-ending source from above. Yes, I live in a world of abundance, with a life overflowing and a heart full of love.
Isn't that a wonderful reminder of how truly gorgeous and abundant our world is? Yeah, it just, wow, just thinking about that, taking that all in. Excuse me here. Mm. Ah, boy, sometimes there's nothing like a good drink of water. It's kind of like the nectar of life. And you drink that water, it's so readily available to us, and you take it in the body and just think it just goes right through our body, supporting life within this life force, this life presentation that we are in this moment. It's really, it's a reminder of God, that always we can take God in, and it just supports that life force within each of us, that that expression of God through us. We just have so much to be grateful for. I have to admit, I'm grateful right now that I'm not living in Texas or Oklahoma or Arkansas. Not only did they lose electricity to this bitter cold storm that's been through our country, but then to have their pipes burst, not even to have water to drink, that thing that we so take for granted. you know, I find it interesting with us as humans that tragedy really seems to focus on what's important in our life. Um, it helps us really to appreciate those things that sometimes we think of as mundane because they're just there every day. But I think when we reach those things that give us a shift in perspective, it really helps us appreciate life and really what it's all about. I know COVID has certainly refocused me on what's important. And I'll admit, sometimes I feel hesitant to celebrate the blessings that I've received, that we as a church community have received during COVID, because so many people have had so much pain and so much disappointment. But it's one is not an exception to the other. Both things exist in our world. We're in this relative world. And just because there is pain, there is discomfort, and we so open our hearts to all of us going through that, we can also have enough room in our hearts to celebrate with deepest gratitude the many gifts that come to us as we're going through this experience and going through it together. So we are in this season of nonviolence. It's 64 days of focusing on nonviolent approach to life. And though most of us wouldn't think of ourselves as violent, there are things that we do that are not in the loving vibration. Let's put it that way. And I love that this coincides with Lent. Lent started Wednesday, Ash Wednesday. And though it's not necessarily a unity tradition, many of us pick up the tradition of the 40 days of Lent in preparation for Easter as a time to become conscious of really giving something up, of releasing something, of creating a new focus in whatever direction we're taking on our spiritual journey. It's a time that we kind of dedicate ourselves to making a meaningful change in what it is, whatever it is that's going on in our lives. Oh, yeah, just a second. I just want to share a screen with you. Let's go past that one. Here we go. So here is your lesson for the week. Maintaining an attitude of gratitude helps us focus on the positive things in our life and avoid the stresses that contribute to violence. Maintaining an attitude of gratitude helps us to focus on the positive things in our life and to avoid the stresses that contribute to violence. I mean, think about it. If you don't think about yourself as an adult being violent, think about a child who becomes so frustrated they just strike out, not because they really want to hurt anybody, they just don't know what to do with the stressful energy. And so as adults, we have that same thing, that we just time to time strike out. It might be with words, it might be passive aggressive, it might be a very, not a big action, but certainly something that has that little bite to it, something that is definitely less than loving. Mark Twain, I love his writings, his thought process. And he once wrote, "It's not the things about the Bible that I don't understand that bothers me. It's the things that I do understand." And there's there's a number of Bible verses that sometimes I kind of mull over and chew over. I kind of understand them, but I don't think, I just don't think they're really quite right. And one of them is Jesus' parable of the lilies of the field. And he tells us not to worry about anything, don't stress, don't be anxious, that the lilies of the field, look how they grow. They neither toil, work, or I like to put in there, they neither toil nor hoard, because we have a tendency sometimes to hoard, to keep things like we think there's not going to be enough. And that he tells us that if first we seek the kingdom, God's consciousness, then all other things are added to us. And we know that God is infinite good, infinite supply, infinite abundance, and that it's always present. But sometimes we can't see it with our senses. Sometimes we can't feel gratitude for all that we're surrounded with because we're worried about something, or we have this deep, shadowy sense of scarcity that somehow we have to protect ourselves, shield ourselves, or work harder, or, spirituality. When I get everything else done, then I can work on my relationship with God. Then I can work on being more loving once I get all this other stuff done, once I work through those things that are right in front of me. Well, just as there are many ways to ignore our spiritual path, there are also many ways that we can put God first. And I think that one of the most powerful ways is to devote ourselves to adapting an attitude of gratitude. Because when we live in a state of gratitude, I think what we're doing is recognizing that God is in all things, in all people, in all situations, that there is no place where God is not. Therefore, we are grateful. We have this deep sense of heart opening appreciation. So let's just affirm that one more time. Here we go. Maintaining an attitude of gratitude helps us focus on the positive things in our life and avoid the stresses that contribute to violence. Okay. So we talk about God as good, as God's good work. And one of the greatest good works that God has ever done was to create you and to create me. We are expressions of the good work of spirit. This is spirit come into manifestation. We are the vehicles through which God can speak, through which God can act, through which God can show compassion to others. So, question for you this morning. Do you love yourself as much as you deserve to be loved? You are God's creation. You are a miracle in manifestation. You are created by the divine force of this universe. So do you love yourself as much as you deserve to be loved? Okay. Most of us probably can't really honestly answer that. Yes, I do. Maybe occasionally, maybe there's a moment where you love yourself as much as you deserve it. But a lot of us, we kind of really need the acknowledgement of others to approve us, or to give us credit for the work we've done, whether it's showing up or shoveling somebody's sidewalk, that somehow we need to be acknowledged. And the reason that we feel we have this need to be acknowledged by others is because we are not giving credit to ourselves for what we did. Remember, it's always an inside job. We are not giving ourselves credit. So, why wouldn't you give yourself credit? I mean, really, you think about it, if we're looking for acknowledgement and we're not giving ourselves that same acknowledgement, it's kind of an interesting situation. So it's one of those things that you might want to have a conversation with yourself about. Go someplace quiet and sit down and go, well, okay, I'm talking to myself. Why don't you like me? And myself says, because I don't trust you. I go, you don't trust me? Why don't you trust me? Well, because you never keep your word to yourself. Well, sure I do. I keep my word to other people, to other people. And myself says to me, how many times have you gone to bed saying, I'm going to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, jump out of bed so I have plenty of time to exercise and to pray and meditate. And then the alarm goes off at 6 and I go, I'm a little tired. I'll do it another day. My intention was there. Maybe I'll do it later in the day. But I don't keep my word to myself, right? So Lent is a wonderful time to kind of shore up our promises to ourselves. Those promises that so many times we take so lightly that we just assume that they're breakable, that there's no big deal if we break promises to ourselves because we don't deserve it. We don't deserve it. We don't deserve enough love and enough credit for being here, being life, being God in expression. So, are you important enough to keep promises to yourself? Are you important enough to keep the promises that you make to yourself? Those commitments. Lent, 40 days to practice Can I make a commitment? Can I learn to trust myself? And not only can I trust myself, can I give myself credit? Credit for being loving, for being kind, for thinking of other people. Can I actually give myself credit instead of looking outside of myself for some kind of acknowledgement? Because when we reach those points where we're able to develop the skill, this is really the key to finding that inner peace, that inner serenity. It's really a way that we can stay in a non-violent state of being. Non-violent because there's nothing to prove, there's nothing to fight against, there's nothing to struggle against. So here's some practices that we can do about this. Thich Nhat Hanh said, in our daily life, we can smile. Not only we, but everyone profits by it. That is the most basic kind of piecework. Wow. Next time you look in the mirror, maybe it's to brush your teeth. Can you promise yourself that you will smile to yourself? And once you get in the habit of smiling to yourself, as opposed to perhaps criticizing the mirror about how you look, but it becomes a habit, and we smile at everybody. And I know we're wearing masks. Where's my mask? Here we go. But let's see if you can tell if I'm smiling. You see, the cheeks go up. There's something in my eyes. Something changes even with a mask on. People know you're smiling. And if you could see the energy around your body when you smile, that sense of happiness coming welling up, it changes the vibration of the universe around you and in the sphere of you that people enter. Dale Carnegie said that flattery is from the teeth out. Sincere appreciation is from the heart out. So think about as you're smiling, could you really deeply thank 3 people that are making a difference in your life? Even in our points of separation, we have people that are making a difference. It might be the mailman. I just am so appreciative when the mailman comes to the door, a mail person. And the work that they're doing, they're working to support me. Think of all the essential workers we have developed such a deep gratitude for that before maybe we didn't even notice or didn't even think about. The cashier at the grocery store, the person that delivers food, and all the delivery people that bring all those boxes to the house. If we're ordering online because we're not really comfortable about going to the stores. So smiling and having that deep sense of gratitude for all those people in our lives that are doing good work, loving work, supportive work for us because we deserve it, because we are learning to deserve and give ourselves the love that comes from recognizing we are an expression of God itself. Maintaining an attitude of gratitude helps us focus on positive things in our life and avoid the stresses that contribute to violence. So, excuse me. I don't know how many of you have read Emmett Fox. He's a delightful author, a New Thought author from, granted, a few decades ago, but his thoughts are still so valid. And he says, if you bless a situation, it has no power to hurt you. And even if it is troublesome for a time, it will gradually fade out if you sincerely bless it. Bless every situation, and even if it's troublesome, keep blessing it because it will gradually fade out if you sincerely bless it. Wow. We know all things pass in time. And though things may be a struggle at the moment, if we can bless it and know that God is in the situation, that somewhere in here is a gift. I mean, even the people that have been going through this electrical outage and the water outage in Texas, they can struggle with that situation and fight against it. It won't change the situation. But as they come out of it, if they've learned that this situation, somewhere in there is a blessing for them, that God is in the situation and they are not just going through it, but growing through it, learning through it, that as electricity comes back, as the water comes back, what they will feel and hear is a vibration of peace and a vibration of calmness, as opposed to that idea of scarcity and hurt and fear that sets into us when we struggle against a situation, as opposed to finding a way to bless it, to bless it, to bless it, looking for the good in all situations and grateful for what we can learn from them. Hey, they may not have been situations we would choose, but they still are something we can learn to be grateful for. One of the things I'm grateful for is first world problems. Every time I get into one of those spinning wheels, that's something I'm really struggling with. And I realize I'm struggling with this because I have the privilege of living in a first world country. That I have the privilege, even if I lose electricity, I know that it's going to come back shortly. Even if I lose water, I know there are other places I can go to get water. I know that I have a roof over my head. That whenever I struggle with these things, recognizing they are first world problems, that I am so blessed, no matter the bothersome part of any situation that I'm in. Pearl Buck said, "None who have always been free can understand the terrible, fascinating power of the hope of freedom to those that are not free." We live in a country where we are free. And there are a lot of first world problems around that. There are differences of opinion. There are very strong ideas of different ways to achieve health and happiness for all of us in our country, whatever that might mean. So, learning to bless the situation, learning to appreciate the gifts that we have had, because we know that you can recite this with me by now, probably. Maintaining an attitude of gratitude helps us focus on the positive things in our life and avoid the stresses that contribute to violence. Okay, here's another self promise you might want to work on during Lent. Samuel Johnson wrote, "The true, strong, and sound mind is the mind that can embrace equally great things and small things." Great things and small things. So we don't hold our gratitude inside until the really big things happen and we can say, "Oh, I am so grateful. This is just wonderful. I'm so grateful." No, it's every little thing we're grateful for. We're grateful for the sunrise, the sunset, for the chirping of the birds braving this bitter cold weather here in Michigan this year. Grateful to see those little hyacinth plants at the grocery store and that little fragrant smell that reminds us that spring will come, warm weather will come. So, giving thanks for those products and services that make our life safe, comfortable, and convenient, from the littlest things to the grandiose things, from that cashier at the grocery store to that doctor that may save your life. Gratitude is gratitude. It's nothing that we save, it's something that we become stronger the more we can express it, no matter the quote size of whatever that situation is that we are grateful for. I just read something really interesting the other day. It was about a gift economy. And the word economy, economics, my mind kind of goes, I'm not really into economics that much. But this I found fascinating. And basically, there was kind of three main ideas with it. First, that when we have a need, to ask those that we know what our need is specifically. Maybe we need to borrow a snowblower. Maybe we need to have somebody help us, I don't know, fix our dishwasher. Chances are, when we ask, very often there's somebody in our circle that knows how to give us those things that we need, the skill or the item. Maybe we're looking for an end table and somebody has an end table in their basement they're not using and ready to get rid of. And then this idea of the gift economy is that we have so many gifts to give. Now think about it. I've gone through my house and I start decluttering. I got one area done and I have a few things that I'm not going to have any use for. I'm ready to get rid of. But those couple things, driving all the way to Goodwill, oh, it just seems like, boy, then I have to spend an hour and there's this resistance to it. But what if you could put out there and say, does anybody need, and list what items you have to give away? I have like a dozen dog kennels. We have every size, and I know it's time to let those go. And if you put that out there, that could you need a dog kennel? And there it is. And I create the space and it goes to be something useful for somebody else. The other thing that happens sometimes when we see what we're not using that we're ready to release, and then we go, oh, well, geez, I could probably get $5 or $10 for that if I sold it and go on Facebook Marketplace or have a garage sale. And yes, you can sell those things and think about how that feels. You sold it and you got $10 in your hand, whatever that might be. And also think about what it feels like to take something you're no longer using and giving it to somebody that needs it. There's there's a kind of sense of joy that goes with the gifting of it. There's also this relationship that develops. Very often you'll hear the story about why they need it. They just got a new dog, or they have relatives coming and visiting, and they have a need for the specific thing that you no longer need. And so not only in this gifting economy do you find a great joy, you also start to build perhaps a new relationship. Maybe it's only a relationship for that day when you make the exchange. Maybe it's something that goes on to something else. And you know that the people that you gift this item to, think about how many people they will mention it to. You know, the wildest thing happened the other day. I so needed a new mixer, and I found out somebody in our neighborhood had a mixer they were no longer using and offered it to me for free. Isn't this great? I just love this mixer. You can just see how it goes on to create joy and create joy and create joy, and the story passes on. Or you could get the $10 for selling at the garage sale. It's not that one is bad or good, but when we get into a gift economy mentality, there is an ease and flow of things because we understand that giving and receiving are really two sides of the same coin, that we get joy in giving just as we get joy in receiving. And whenever we stop doing one or the other, we totally break down this kind of economy, that joy of gifting. And then, because it is both the same coin, the giving and the receiving, really carrying that attitude of gratitude of how fabulous this is, this just deep appreciation for the blessing as you're the giver or the receiver. Again, developing that attitude of gratitude that will keep us away from those stresses that cause us to step into that violent state of mind or state of being. Maintaining an attitude of gratitude helps us to focus on the positive things in life. Excuse me. And then, well, and this is one that I hold close to my heart. Confucius said, choose a job you love and you'll never work a day in your life. And I can honestly say I have never worked a day in my life because I have always done things I loved. And I include when I delivered pizza. I include when I worked at Grover's Pig Stand as a waitress, one of those white nylon dresses and little black aprons. I include sales jobs that I've had. I certainly include ministry. Everything is a joy. It's never been work. It's about finding the purpose within whatever work you do. It's not about the type of work, it's about the attitude that you bring to it. And when you come to that work, that creative force within you, whether you are making a quilt, whether you're cleaning your house, whether you're going to an office and phoning people about whatever it is that the business is, doing it with that attitude of gratitude, with that sense of blessing, just makes everything so much lighter in your life. There was this rooster that he really believed that every morning he had to get up because his crowing brought the sunrise. He totally believed this was a sense of purpose. This is why he got up every morning, to crow in the sunrise. And where would the world be without the sun? Well, one morning he overslept. His dream world collapsed because when he did wake up, the sun was already up and he had not crowed. What happened to his purpose? Well, the rooster thought about it for a while and he said, well, maybe it's not my crowing that causes the sun to rise, but I can still wake up to celebrate its rising. I can wake up to celebrate its rising. See, it's not about the thing, it's about the attitude you bring to it. And think about it. When was the last time you celebrated morning? Just celebrated because it was morning, or celebrated life just because this is life. And there is nothing richer in the whole world than this moment of living that we are having together right now. Wow. You know, this glass of water, yeah, it just wants to be water. It doesn't care if I'm washing with it, if I'm swimming in it, if I'm sailing on it. It doesn't care if I boil it, freeze it, mix it into soup, brew it into whatever you brew things into. Water is always happy being water. No complaints. Wow. As a human being, yeah, you're happy doing that, aren't you? As a human being, just think if we can just be happy no matter what it is that's going on, whether we're being brewed or mixed or sailed upon, just being happy without any complaints, knowing that we are the divine expression of God, that we seek the kingdom first, we seek that higher state of mind by recognizing with the deepest gratitude for all things that are happening to us, those that we love and dance about, and those that we kind of cringe about because we know we're going to get to the other side and we'll get to the other side stronger with whatever gifts this particular event will give to us. I'll go back to my screen here. So, maintaining an attitude of gratitude helps us focus on the positive things in our life and avoid the stresses that contribute to violence. We talked about ahimsa a couple weeks ago. That's that sign you often see with a hand in this wonderful energy wheel in the middle. And affirming that I renounce all acts, thoughts, and acts of violence. I express the peace of God as I walk and work in ways of gentleness and gratitude. As I walk and work in ways of gentleness and gratitude. Let's take a deep breath on that one as you really embrace what that means. So a spiritual practice for this week, I'm going to invite you to consider to keep promises that you make to yourself. In this time of Lent, in the season of nonviolence, keep the promises you make to yourself because you deserve it. You deserve to be loved and you deserve to love yourself. Consider that you flip the coin of worry and stress to the other side, to one of gratitude. Yes, let it all go away. Let yourself be that full and great expression. I am so grateful for you right now in this richness of this moment of life. Thank you. And now I'd like to take a moment to thank all of you for supporting this work. I'm just so grateful that Unity in Lansing here has been able to keep going and going well. We've moved into a beautiful new building and we're getting ready to come together again in person. But through this 11 months of a world pandemic, we have been able to survive and in many cases thrive. And it's all because of you, because that's what Unity, this congregation is. It's you and me, it's all of us together. So thank you very much for that support. And also this first quarter, our Congregant's Choice that we share with our monies, our tithe monies from, is the Firecracker Foundation. It does wonderful work supporting youth that have had some sexual trauma in their life. So knowing that not only are we keeping this ministry going, but we're doing supportive work in our community too. We deeply appreciating deepest gratitude for these people that do such great work. Now I'm going to invite you to have a little gratitude celebration within yourself. What are you grateful about in this moment? I hope you're grateful for you, really grateful for you, for this thing called life that's expressing as you. I hope you're grateful that you have a roof over your head. I hope you have a gratitude in your heart for that secret happiness, that little thing in life that just lifts you up, that you know and you cherish and you feel so supported and connected by having that experience. As you think about those many things that have been showered upon us, we affirm together that divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I praise, give thanks, and am glad. And so it is. This is Unity on Demand for February 21st. You can binge watch all 3 of our segments, or you can watch us in bits and pieces and fits in with your schedule. And if you're watching this on Sunday, 2 o'clock is our town hall meeting. We're just getting together to talk about what's going on with our building, what progress we're making, what are things going on. So it's very casual. Anybody is welcome to join us and share ideas or just hear what's happening. So hope to see you at our town hall. And of course, 10:30 is always our live Zoom fellowship on Sundays. Just bring your own coffee. And with that, we're going to do a new song to end here. It's called Rise by Faith Rivera. And I think as we move into that sense of gratitude, we will find an upliftment within our very soul that will lift not only us up, but the rest of humanity.
I close my eyes, I open my heart, I'll take a deep breath, let the healing start. I lift my hands, I plant my feet, I let love in. I feel the beat that's calling us to rise, rise, spirit rise up, rise in me. Clear my mind, I'm here and now, in present time. I feel the power of 1,000 suns, lighting up the dark. Oh, we rise as one. Oh, rise, rise, spirit rise up, rise in me. Oh, rise, rise, spirit rise up, rise in me, rise in me. I sing to you, I sing to you, you sing to me, you sing to me. Change up this noise, make sweet harmony. Come on and rise, oh rise, spirit rise up, rise in me. Oh, rise, rise, spirit rise up, rise in me, rise in me. Heart to heart, hand in hand, no turning back, onward to promised land. Do you feel the power of 1,000 suns, lighting up the dark? Oh, we rise as one. Love's calling, calling out your name. Love's calling, that's why we came. Love's calling, calling out the name. Love's calling, it's why we came. Come on and rise, rise, spirit rise up, rise in me. Oh, rise, come on and rise. Oh, spirit rise up, rise in me. Rise up, rise up.